Hi guys, this is the first ship that I ever built all the way back in 2014. We've recently hit 10,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing, and to celebrate that I thought I would just rebuild my oldest ship and bring it up to the current standard. But before we get to that, I want to show you the original. I didn't have any of the original files anymore, but thankfully it was still uploaded on the workshop. I even made a cross section back then. Back then we didn't have blueprints, so it's a WAD file, and I tried to load it up. Unfortunately, it is corrupted. So what I had to do was dig into the save game itself and get the blueprint out of it directly. Since a bunch of the mods that I used back then literally don't exist anymore, a lot of the blocks will be missing here, but it worked more or less fine, and I managed to just paste it in. As you can see, it's pretty bare bones and quite ugly, the interior and the exterior, and back then we only had these shitty doors. They don't look that great, but that's all we had. I only got a few of the mods to work, so that's why a lot of stuff here is missing. And oh my god, look at that, there's so many reactors here. That's so overkill, holy shit. And yeah, there's just so many turrets and none of them are conveyed, of course, nothing is conveyed. And all of these thrusters, basically all of these like angled armor thrusters, I think they're from Darth Biomech if I remember correctly. Back then, like, everyone used them all the time. The profile, I think from the top it's particularly bad. It just looks like a kind of like a worm. From the side it's not too bad. But of course the turrets, they just stick out everywhere and absolutely ruin it. So I started fixing it by just removing all of the turrets and all the everything, basically everything that's not armor blocks, and filled it all completely up, and then gave it a nice blue color pattern. Next up, I cut it into stripes and then pasted them back together to make the whole thing a bit thicker, because it looked just way too thin in my opinion. Now it still looks a bit like a worm, so what I did next was to cut it into 3 pieces, but just cutting some gaps in there. And then I thought it could need a sort of stubby wing in the middle, so I just added one there. What followed next was a whole lot of building. In fact, the ship took me around 7 days to build. I can't show you everything here, of course, but I will actually upload the whole building process in full. If you're interested in that, I'll link it in the description, you can check it out there. By the way, since this is like a 10,000 subscriber special, I thought I'd mention it. Most of you are still not subscribed, so if you would consider that, I would be very thankful. Alright, this is the finished version. I think it turned out pretty well. It's obviously a lot more detail. It's basically a completely new ship compared to the original. It's a lot more detail, of course, has all of these nice new colors and textures. There's a bunch of cool little details like these panels here. I just discovered them quite recently actually. You can do this. It's pretty neat. I like to do this now for pretty much every ship. It just adds a lot of little detail. The turrets, I had to remove most of them, obviously. I just put 8 of the new turrets on here in the end and put them all on like these little orange pedestals there. I think they work pretty well. I really like how they look, how they add to the shape itself. And they actually have some pretty decent firing arcs. Basically at every point, at least 4 of the turrets can shoot. Now the shape is, of course, it's quite a bit different from the original. The original shape was just pretty trash, so I had to change it. But I hope you can still see at least a little bit of a resemblance, at least like the inspiration. The cockpit, I tried to keep that a bit the same with this 45-degree angle. And from the top, yeah, it does look different. It doesn't look like a worm anymore. I added some wings and cut it into 3 different parts, but generally it's still more or less the same size, and the back still has this like this angle to it and all the thrusters in there. So it's at least reasonably similar, I hope. And yeah, let's just take a look inside. I'm going to spawn my character here. There. So this is like the main room here. It's like a small Corvette. It doesn't really need that much interior, and because I didn't have much space, you can see all the outside blocks like the thrusters here, and the colors don't always match perfectly, but I think it's fine. There's also a second entrance here at the bottom. I always try to put like a floor level entrance in there. It doesn't really make that much sense here, to be honest, because it's just an iron powered ship, but yeah, it's just a habit nowadays. I just try to always put one in at the like floor level. Yeah, then at the back here, just a little bit of like medbay cryo chamber stuff, and one more airlock at the back. The engineering section. Now if we go to the front, there's a little chill out area, very important for warships. And the cockpit I think actually turned out pretty nicely. There's this like walkway around here, this elevated walkway. I really like that, like doing that. And then when you go down, it's all just these like blue lights. I think lights for the interior are like the most important thing, and yeah, they really help make this cockpit look quite cool. So that's basically an overview of the ship. I also have a video where I show you the whole build process and explain a bit about it and what I did with all the different like in progress stages. So if you want to see that, I'll also link that in the description.